Good morning. Good morning.
Morning. Good morning.
Good morning.
You mean to wish me a good morning? What do you mean that it is a good morning whether I want it or not?
Please go away. Let me speak for the love of God.
All right, it's Monday morning, unless it's not. It could. I mean, for all I know, it could be Friday night 4 years from now.
Yeah, it could be. You can listen to this anytime you want.
That's right. But nevertheless, we do appreciate you. Thank you for listening. This is Good Movie Monday, the podcast dedicated to nerdy cinematic ramblings. There are two of us. We've got Ben Helwig right there, and we've got myself, Glenn Cochran. How are you, mate?
I'm good. And if you're watching us on video, you'll notice that I look like Glenn's dad. It's like a boy and his dad doing a podcast about movies.
And when we finish this, we're going fishing.
And I'll buy you some boiled sweets. How about that?
I love you, Dad.
I love you, son. And at least that sounds proper. You know, in porn, they go, hey, step bro. Like, no one calls anyone step bro.
It's true. Hey, Ben. Do you remember 5 minutes ago before we recorded, I said, like, as soon as I introduce this, you can just, take it away with the socials?
Oh, I didn't realize. I thought there was still more.
No, that
I
was
thought
it.
there was more banter.
Nah.
I was waiting for a how are you going?
We'll get to that, but in the meantime,
hey, instead of stop searching for nogs on the internet, why don't you jump on one of our social media platforms and follow us? We're almost. This is a big call for me.
Yeah.
I say we're almost wank-worthy. And you can put that on the thumbnail on YouTube.
Mm.
But yeah, because we are on YouTube. We're also on Facebook. We're on Instagram. We're on Twitter or X. We're on TikTok.
We are.
Where all the kids are.
One of the two of us is wank-worthy.
Even yeah. It's not it's not Dad.
It's up.
It's not Dad.
It's up for you to decide. Daddy porn's a thing.
What I find amazing about TikTok is that there can be. I can have a court order saying I'm not allowed within certain distance of kids. Yet on TikTok, where all the kids are, completely okay.
Absolutely.
Isn't that amazing?
That's where you can find Ben.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely do that and engage with us. Like, definitely drop us a message on any of our videos. On even if you're on Podbean, like where the podcast kind of is hosted. Go into the comments there, wherever, and
Like and subscribe, as they say.
Absolutely,
and check us out on Spotify. We're also on Spotify.
Yeah,
called Good Movie Monday, The Music.
Exactly, like 20-something hours worth of fucking music that we've
That's
played on the
a road
show.
trip. That's if you're driving from Melbourne to Brisbane. Chuck that on. It'll get you there.
It'll get you there for sure.
It might even get you halfway back.
Well, I mean, if you just hit what is it? Shuffle
Shuffle
on the way back, it's a whole new playlist.
And then count how many times it repeats the same song, so then you can complain to Spotify that their shuffle is shit.
Yeah,
Because I always find that when I shuffle my thing, I'm like, why am I listening to Caribbean Queen again? And then I realize it's because I've got the 2018 remastered version and the 2016 remastered version and the original version, and I've just got it in the playlist 3 times. But I'm old. I don't understand how these computers work.
Well, as per usual, we have a banging episode lined up. The second part of Ben's Myth Talk with Kate Fitzpatrick is coming up. What's all that about, mate? What is what's the tone of this one?
Well, this one, I just asked Kate, like, tell me the best films playing, like your recommendations. And as always, we like to talk about films that aren't getting a release afterwards.
Yes.
Because there's a bunch of great films at MIFF, but they will be at the cinemas like 2-3 weeks after MIFF, or a couple of months after MIFF, or a year after MIFF, but they'll be around, or they'll pop up on SBS On Demand or on Broly or on something like that, so you'll be able to catch them. But there's also, every year, there's a ton of films that only get played at MIFF, and they're the ones that you really should make an effort to see.
And then they just fall into the nether.
And then they disappear,
yeah. Yeah.
And like I remember years and years ago, I went to see this one called Venus FC, which was a Austrian football movie where it was girls versus boys.
Yeah.
like this in this kind of small town, and I fucking loved it. And it is not available anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
I went to Austria. I made caught up with my cousin, who at that stage I'd never met before.
Yep.
And I was like, "No, take me to the DVD place, whatever the Austrian DVD place is. Take me there, and help me ask for this film." Of course, they didn't have it, but they had it. Was you could get it, they just didn't have it in stock.
Yep.
Of course, didn't have English subtitles, and that's the killer. So even sometimes you can get these movies overseas if you decide to travel 24 hours on a plane to
but they
track
fuck you on the
down a film.
subtitles.
But then they fuck you on the subs. So go see it at MIF, because all the MIF films, except for a couple of times where they've got the wrong DCP and there's been no subs, but usually they have subtitles.
Of course, as promised on last week's show, we have an interview as well with the guys that made Abigail, that new vampire ballerina flick, which you and I both enjoyed immensely.
Enjoyed.
Yeah, they are also the guys that made Ready or Not, Scream 5 and 6. They did Southbound. As a collective, they actually call themselves Radio Silence. That's the name of their... Like Astron 6, they're Radio Silence. They're the guys that kickstarted the VHS franchise. So, it's good to have a chat with these guys.
Yeah.
So stick around. That's coming up. And as well, of course, we've got the usuals. We've got Jarrett coming in a few moments to update you with all that is coming out on physical entertainment. It's a nice, big, chunky discussion this week. A good, fun one. And what else? Then the Boneheads from Bonehead Weekly Podcast will swing by for their Kentucky branded goodness. It's a fucking huge week, mate. We bring the goods.
I'm just going to put you on the spot here. What were the Boneheads talking about this week?
They're talking about movies where people flip out. Like just
okay.
have a snap,
Like a falling down
yeah,
type.
that's right. Whether it's a momentary part of the movie or the actual gist of the movie. So that's a good chat. I love that kind of stuff. I'm still on leave from work. Actually, I'm back this week, but I've had the last.
Technically, you're back today.
I've had the last week of doing fuck all and watching lots of movies. And as I've spoken to you off the mic, I watched The Abyss again. I got that 4K and just I love the special edition of that one.
I can see it over there.
Oh, I'll tell you what, it's
just over there.
It's such a great movie, and I had a bit of a conversation with a few people online about. I think it's James Cameron's best film, and most people would list it in his top 3 or 4, but I'm putting it number 1.
Did you
baby.
jump on the IRC chat?
Talk
to people.
I should know. This was just my post on Facebook.
Oh, okay.
People weighed in.
This Facebook's too new for me. I like to ICQ. If I can, ICQ with someone and jump on the message boards.
Good old ICQ. I missed that little thing down the bottom there.
Yeah, chat roulette. Sometimes you play a bit of chat roulette.
That's right. What else did I watch?
Polish some plates.
I also watched. So last week I told you I watched the Taking a Pelham 1, 2, 3, and then we discussed the remake with John Travolta.
Did you watch the remake?
No, I watched the other remake from 1998.
Oh,
James Elmos, whatever his name is, James Edward Elmos.
James Edward Almost.
It was almost, and Vincent D'Onofrio.
And Vincent D'Onofrio is
the Robin Short.
hijacker. Yeah, right.
And I can tell you what, it is fucking awful. Like, it is, one, it looks like it's made for television, but it also tries to lean into that 90s sort of centric pop culturally, the editing's all fast.
I was going to say
MTV.
it's a shaky cam and everything's kind of got a green tinge to it.
But it's also like a shot-by-shot remake. So even when the conductor says oh, look down there, what do you see? And the guy's leaning against the door, it's all the same.
It's all the same.
All the same. Even the final shot, that freeze frame, terrible.
How do you feel if you're James Edward Almost? Or I always get, is it Edward James Almost?
Yeah, almost.
Which almost. Yeah, and you're like, we want you to, take on this iconic role that Walter Matthau kind of kicked out of. Like, it's not like it's like there was it's a shit. Like, you watch the original and went, look, the idea was great, the delivery is shit. Yeah. There's definitely something we can do here to make this work.
We're going to remake a great movie.
Yeah, and we're gonna do it shot for shot. So if it doesn't work, it's because your performance is shit.
Well, that's like asking Vince Vaughn to be Norman Bates, isn't it?
Yeah, I've still never seen that version of Psycho.
Once again, a shot-by-shot remake.
Yeah, I remember that being the thing at the time, and I just didn't care.
And I watched Moscow on the Hudson. That's the other one.
With Mary Conchita Alonso's boobies in the bath.
I completely forgot. It had been a very long time since I'd seen it. I forgot how much of it was in Russian. Like, it is like 50% Russian.
Oh, does it really?
Yeah, like
I suppose
Robin
it takes
Williams
quite a while.
Learned Russian within, I think, 6 or 7 weeks making this film.
Do you reckon it's real Russian? Do you reckon if Russians listen to it, they're like, this guy's just
Apparently it
talking
is.
gibberish?
Apparently it is, and there's a legitimate Russian backup cast or whatever you call it. Like co-stars are all legitimately Russian. So
Yeah, right. Should we? Sorry, I don't want to interrupt you, but should we mention our sponsors, Fanta,
and
this week,
Bundaberg.
and Bundaberg?
Yeah, because Bilsons, who used to support the show,
Have gone under.
They're done.
We've gone in search of bigger corporate
so
overlords.
no, watch out, Bundaberg, the curse. We might have the same effect, eh? Yeah, no, not sponsors at all.
Natural color and flavor. What the fuck? Oh, it's orange.
Fanta is different to what it used to be, and if you look at the back of the can with all the ingredients and stuff, it's now got less sugar than the Cokes and the Sprites and all that. It used to be the one that had the most.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
I just don't like how there's like red Fanta, but you can't get raspberry anymore.
Yeah. Anyway.
I don't understand.
Thanks for bringing that up. That's an interesting conversation.
Sorry, I just interrupted you talking about Moscow and the Hudson.
No, look, it's not as great as I recall it being, and just it's a lot more dramatic than it is comedic.
Funnily enough, I remember watching it, like seeing it on TV, and that was why I ended up watching The Running Man. Because it was like Mary Conchita Alonso, and I was like, what else has she been in? Oh, I haven't seen The Running Man.
Well, let's put it this way. I much prefer American Tail. That's a better movie about an immigrant coming to New York.
Fievel.
Yeah.
Fievel.
That's right. Fievel Mousekowitz.
Yeah.
Great movie. Anyway, hey, how about we just bring Jared into the fold and have a real good chat with him?
Yes.
Ready to jump straight in?
Ready, guys?
Yeah.
I'm contemplating leaving that in, but here we go. Anyway, Jarrett, how's it going, mate? Another week.
Another week. Good week it's been, gentlemen. Like, there's so much coming out this week that I'm barely going to be able to do a focus film, but I will do a minor focus.
Have you made sure it's not next week stuff?
No, this is all August 7th. I guarantee that. Because I tell you what, August 14th is a pretty bumper week, and August 21st. It's a couple of weeks of some big releases, but this week is gigantic. The headliner, though, for me, is Universal Pictures' release of The Fall Guy, which I have pre-ordered, that beautiful steelbook that's exclusive to JB, but it is coming out trade-wide on 4K Blu-ray and DVD. The only difference, apart from the steelbook with the JB SKU, is it's got the Blu-ray, but if you're a 4K fan, don't despair, because the 4K actually has all the special features on it anyway. And the trade-wide one is going to have the 2 discs in terms of theatrical on 1 disc and director's cut on the 2nd disc, and or extended cut, whatever they're calling it. It's 20 minutes extra. I know it was a long film, but I enjoyed every minute of it. So I'm there for another 20 minutes of it, as long as it has that, ice cream joke in it that was in the trailer. But this actually looks like a proper collector's edition too. Universal have been putting this on the trim of a lot of their editions, and then generally having a trailer and a featurette or something. This thing's got an astonishing 12 featurettes, an audio commentary, a gag reel, and extended scenes, as well as the 2 cuts of the film. And on top of that, both the Blu-ray and 4K have Atmos on the theatrical and extended edition. So, yeah, if you're not 4K inclined, Blu-ray will do the job. But for me, this is going to be a reference quality 4K release, undoubtedly.
Mm.
I was going to say, I heard that if you buy the 4K, Emily Blunt comes around to your house and high-fives you.
Oh, well, there you go. Any chance since I've ordered the steelbook that I might get Gosling over to do the high five? Because I reckon he'd be fun to hang out with, I'd get him along and get him to do some commentaries on films that maybe he wouldn't necessarily talk about, like that one he did with Anthony Hopkins, Fracture. That one that he did, was it
Believer.
Stay? That one he did with Ewan McGregor. Yeah, true. So anyway,
The Slaughter Rule. Do you remember that one? The football movie that he did with David Morse.
I do.
Well, while he's doing that, we'll get him to do Young Hercules as well while he's here. May as well. Also, out this week from Universal, and I know you're doing the interview on today's show, and that's Abigail. And that one's coming out in a collector's edition. And again, it's a full-fledged collector's edition because you've got a commentary, there's 4 featurettes, gag reel, and deleted scenes. So it's a pretty comprehensive release. Just Blu-ray and DVD on this one. But knowing what Universal have been doing in the States, where they've released the Blu-ray Then 6 months later, they've been releasing them on 4K. So I'm actually going to wait this one out and see, because I really enjoyed this film. I want to own it, and I'm not going to get screwed like I did with the Black Phone, because they did it with Black Phone, they did it with Megan, they did it with Violent Night. So we know they're going to do it again with this one, because this was a pretty modest success.
Screwed with Ghost.
Yeah, I know. Oh, that makes me. But actually, that I'm confident that Ghost will get a local release, and I'm confident that Paramount may actually include the Blu-ray with the 4K, so we get all the special feature content, because Paramount this week are releasing Election, which I mentioned a couple of weeks ago, and this is the first time I've seen a Paramount title come out locally where they've included the Blu-ray, because the Blu-ray's got the special features. And so that means you're paying like $35 for this release of Election. You're getting the 4K, the Blu-ray, all the special features, and that's significantly cheaper than importing it. Because if you want to get this from the States or the UK, you're looking at probably $60 or so. So I'm really on board with that. And I wasn't even going to mention that one just yet, but I flashed forward to it because I was so excited about it. I'll definitely be picking that one up, and I'm not waiting for one of those percentage off sales, because yeah, I just want to see this film. I think the last time I watched it actually might have been off the DVD, to be honest. And I have a feeling my DVD was non-anamorphic as well. So
you know what? That movie, Election, needs one of those. You know when you get a birthday card and you open it and it talks to you or it sings?
Oh,
it needs a slip case that when you take the DVD out or the Blu-ray out, it goes, fill me up. And you go,
okay. I thought it was going to be Tracy Flick's annoying voice. But yeah, no, that's even better. That's even better. Then coming out from Mad Men this week, we've got The Strangers Chapter 1. This one's coming out on Blu-ray and DVD. It's through Kismet, so Mad Men's doing the distribution for it. Oh, good. Glenn, since you've got it there, can you tell me on the rear if there's any special features on this thing?
No, I don't believe so.
Of course. Lionsgate have released it in the US and the UK, and in both territories they've done a 4K, so we'll be importing it because it does have an Atmos track.
Also a different artwork to what I had seen promoted.
That's totally different art from the art that's still live on the internet, because it was Pin-Up Girl's face on the art.
Maybe there's two different versions?
Baby doll, I don't know. Maybe, but I highly doubt it. They couldn't even be bothered doing. Can you have a look on the back and the specs? I bet there's not Atmos on that. It's just DTS HD 5.1 or something like that.
You are correct.
Yeah, lazy. So I'll definitely be importing the Lionsgate 4K release, because it's got Atmos, it's got a commentary, it's got featurettes. I think it's even got deleted scenes. So yeah, I'm all on board for importing that one. That's my recommendation this week. But thank you to the distributors for kindly sending Glenn a copy of it. At least he'll get to watch it, and then if he loves it, maybe he'll get the 4K. Also from Mad Men, we've got one that I don't know. I assume this one went to theaters, because it's not like Liam Neeson's like doing DTV films quite yet. His films sort of get like a limited theatrical and then end up on streaming or home end. But it's called In the Land of Satan's Sinners.
Yes, which is already on Prime, I think.
Oh, there you go, because that seems to be the way. A lot of these films, like Retribution, and then there was another one. They go into the streaming, about a month or so out from their home end release. Okay, so maybe I'll check it out. Look, I'm a bit of a sucker for a Liam Neeson film, so.
But it's not just the Liam Neeson film. It's like an Irish film. It's like an actual.
Fantastic! Yeah. No, I'm all on board for that. That sounds infinitely better. Yeah. I'm very keen. Then the other release from Mad Men is a Paul Simon doco called In Restless Dreams. That one's getting a Blu-ray and DVD. So, Betty, when you call me, you can call me Al. Then Paramount already mentioned Elections coming out. Umbrella have some great releases this week too. They've got 2 Aussie films, both starring Matt Day, coming out on Blu-ray. Love and Other Catastrophes, and Dating the Enemy. I'm hoping I just emailed someone at Umbrella.
We both come with the goods.
Yeah, I'm hoping someone at Umbrella. I've contacted them to ask if they could send me some samples, because I did have the pleasure of editing 2 of the featurettes on these releases, as well as kind of audio mixing the commentary for the release as well. So yeah, excited. I mean, I did have to watch Love and Other Catastrophes a couple times as I was syncing the commentary and doing the audio work, but I'm excited to check out the other special features that'll be on that release.
Apologies for the people that are just listening to the show and not watching the video, because we're just holding up covers and just
yeah, of course,
people to know what the fuck we're doing.
More incentive for you to jump on the TikTok and watch those beautifully curated little videos. They're fantastic. Is it Fergus that does those?
Yeah, Fergus.
He does a terrific job. Like really does. Like I was watching them on TikTok, and he really plucks the highlights, puts the supers up of the actual artwork and everything, and nails it. Like gets the right art and everything. Which
he's probably gonna pluck this moment.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. Kudos to you, sir. Also from Umbrella, we've got Darling, which I might let Ben talk about because I'm pretty sure he produced this release.
I did indeed, and I've got the special edition
Whoa, look at that.
from the Umbrella web store, which came out. I'm really happy with how it turned out, and the version that comes with the slipcase that you can get at JB or Trade Wide.
Yeah, that's nice.
Just looks
Look at that.
it's absolutely fantastic.
Look at the finish on it. Yeah. It's like a
UV
spot
and
finish, and yeah, it's great.
the matte black. It's really great. And
it's Julie Christie and Dirk Bogarde that's in this one.
That's correct. Yes, Julie Christie, Dirk Bogarde, and Lawrence Harvey, and in the booklet,
Not that Lawrence Harvey.
no, not Lawrence R. Harvey. Lawrence Harvey, but it does so. Along in this release, we've got a feature-length audio commentary by Nathaniel Thompson and Howard S. Berger. We've got there's a great video essay that Professor Melanie Williams in the UK did on Julie Christie and the 60s Zeitgeist, which is really great video essay. And another, Kim Newman talks about Dirk Bogarde as the extra. But we've got this great, in the booklet, there is a great essay that
he says as he laughs.
There's a great essay that this Guy Davis did. He's an Aussie. He's an Aussie film journalist, film writer, about Lawrence Harvey, and it just talks about how much of a complete cunt this guy was, and a real piece of shit. Yeah, like it's great. Like it's there's Jane Fonda has some real horrible things to say about him.
Wow.
And like everyone, like apparently he was he started off as a bit of a rent boy, and then he was just in it for the money. It was a real kind of like really horrible, hated acting, hated the whole thing of it, wasn't interested in it, gave his co-stars nothing when they acted opposite him. They may as well have been, facing a brick wall, all this stuff. And it's all in this essay, and it is hilarious.
He sounds it's like the backstory for Alf with the dad from Alf. He hated everything about that show.
Yeah.
Hated acting against the Muppet.
But he's loving life now, smoking crack.
Yeah, that's right. Banging teenage
doing orgies in dilapidated houses and
I believe those are called soup kitchens.
Soup kitchens, that's right. Yeah. Oh man, no, that sounds like a great release. Yeah, I'm actually never seen Darling, so I'm quite keen to check it out. And I didn't pick up the old Studio Canal release, so the fact that you've produced this one with Umbrella and it looks fantastic. Is it a drama or is it a comedy or is it a bit of both?
It's a bit of both. Look, it's basic. It's a kind of it's a kitchen sink drama, but it's like a real fancy kitchen sink.
Okay.
It's got one of those hose nozzles that you can.
Yeah. It's because it's essentially it's about this. It's Julie Christie plays this. She's a kind of a relatively unknown kind of poor girl who basically sleeps her way. She becomes a model and then sleeps her way to the top. Like she hooks up with Dirk Bogarde, who's married and has kids, and he's like a TV presenter. And then she goes from him to Lawrence Harvey, who's a ad man who makes her the kind of the next it girl and puts her into all these really high profile advertising campaigns. And then she goes from him, she goes to Italy and becomes huge as an actress over there, and then marries like a prince. And it's this whole song and dance. But then she kind of realizes when she gets to the top how empty it all is, and how she kind of really misses, because basically Dirk Bogarde, gives up his wife and his kids, and it becomes completely besotted with her. And she kind of realizes that, maybe he was the one, but she's kind of left it behind. But it's John Schlesinger. It's before
Midnight Cowboy.
Before Midnight Cowboy, it was his second film, I think, and it was her kind of first or her second kind of big big movie. And she was nominated for an Academy Award for this, and then she did, I think, Far From the Mating Crowd, and then went on to Dr. Zhivago kind of straight after, and it made her too, because prior to this she was kind of a nobody. She was just had bit parts in things. So kind of her and John Schlesinger's career kind of really took off together.
Oh, because I didn't realize that's who had directed it. So I definitely need to pick this
Yeah,
up. But I was going to say Julie Christie too, playing this kind of role early in her career, because obviously, a lot of people know her for Sound of Music or whatever, and that's kind of what they've
hang on.
attached to her and
That's
that.
Julie Andrews.
Oh shit, okay. Yeah, I'm completely off. Yeah. That's why I hate that movie so much. Of course. Of course.
Julie Christie.
I've-
Julie
I-
Christie's
we've-
the one from
We've
McCabe and
said
Mrs.
my
Miller.
disdain, and I know Glenn's got
Yeah.
disdain for that movie, and so that's why. Yeah.
Yeah, mate,
Okay.
I'm in there.
Traumatic.
Yeah,
Maybe it would have been better if Julie Christie was in it.
a very different film. Yeah, because I don't think
Yeah.
Julie Christie can really sing. So it would have been an interesting one. Oh, maybe she can. She's never done it in a film, as far as I know.
Right. Right. Well, that makes a lot of
She
sense.
did.
Now the
She
filmography
was
is
the,
making sense, because I was thinking Victoria,
Yeah.
SOB, and now, yeah, okay.
And
I
then
would have been
Princess
like
Di-
watching this
No.
movie going, God, she looks so different. What happened?
Yeah, she's a lot more attractive in this, and she doesn't
Yeah.
dance at all.
It's the magic carpet.
Yeah, no, Julie Christie's the one who had the thing with Warren Beatty for years.
Mm.
That was and they made Heaven Can Wait together, and McCabe and Mrs. Miller
Oh, yeah,
with what's his name, Bob Altman.
yeah.
She's actually still alive, Julie Christie. She's just kind of retired and off doing
She's
her
got-
own thing.
She's got a doppelganger that's on Shark Tank. You know, that that old duck that's on there. I think Danny said to me one day, she was like, "Is that the bird from Sound of Music?" And I'm like, No, it's not. I've seen her on Fox News. It's not. Not that I watch Fox News, but I do. No, I
That's
do.
Julie Andrews again.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Oh my God. Moving on. My mind, it's like the what is it, the Bernstein Bears and the Brownstein Bears and all that sort of thing. It's too much. Other releases from Umbrella, they've got Primevals, which is coming out in a super deluxe edition that Ben's probably got right there. He does have it. Of course he does. He's got every new release that's coming out from Umbrella this week.
Got all of them. Literally, this is the first time that I've got the releases kind of early.
Yeah, I was going to say, look, and kudos to Umbrella as well. I've been seeing on the internet a lot of people receiving their August releases well ahead of the street date. They were receiving these a week to 2 weeks ago, which is like a big first, because most of the time they're not getting them out until after the street date. And I mean, the collector's edition, there is no real street date because you can't go in store and buy it. But yeah, it is great that they're getting them out.
I will say
early.
it's because I believe in I think it's these ones. They
Inside
switched
Baseball
printers.
here you go. Inside Baseball.
They switched printers now, so they've gone to a different manufacturer who's getting the stuff done, whose lead times are longer, but they're delivering earlier than their estimated arrival date. So Umbrella actually are able to get them out earlier.
That's amazing. Yeah, good stuff. Well, I'm glad it's happened. And obviously, the proof is in the quality too, because that Darling release looks phenomenal.
Sounds like
I'm really happy with it. Really happy with it.
The other two releases that are coming out from Umbrella, I'll briefly mention two Korean films, JSA and The Quiet Family. Although The Quiet Family, I quite like the listing that's on the JB Hi-Fi site. I think they were thinking of A Quiet Place, and they put A Quiet Family. So anyway, maybe it's the unofficial fourth chapter in the Quiet Place franchise. There it is. He literally has every single... Now, you've got all these releases. I wasn't even going to mention this one because it doesn't really warrant mentioning. But did they send you a copy of the Mel Gibson?
Oh, no, they didn't. I thought you were going
They
to
didn't send a copy of Hamlet?
Blood and Honey too.
Oh, of course, yes.
Now I'm jealous.
No, they did not send me a copy of Hamlet.
They skimped on the cheap ones and only sent you the premium.
It wasn't on the list. And the funny thing was with Hamlet, and this is once again inside baseball. They did ask. They're like, do you reckon it's worth putting out a special edition of this? And I was like, well, does anyone really give a shit about Shakespeare and stuff now? Like, the people who are going to buy this are going to need it for. They're going to want to watch it for the film itself. They're not going to be collectors who want, audio, video essays on all the Hamlet
But
films.
even-
And you're not going to
Anything
get
like
Mel
that.
Gibson to participate either because,
Well,
it
was a bit of a passion project for him at the time.
Yeah.
He championed it. I think it was the first or one of the first Icon movies that came out.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
the first. Yeah.
But also, if kids are looking to study that at school, it's a very much an abridged version. It's not actually.
No, yeah.
the
It's
way
not.
it is.
It's
not when
no
there's like the
Kenneth
Kenneth-
Branagh
it's like
production
the
of like
Kenneth Branagh
Hamlet.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was
That
my
was
argument. I was like,
amazing.
you just look, just put this one out. Like, I don't think you
Yeah.
need to spend the extra money on making a fancy pants edition with the
Yeah.
rigid case stuff. Just put it out. And
But if they do the Kenneth Branagh one, yes.
well, that one
Because
needs it. Yeah.
then you can
The
have
Mel
the
Gibson
extended
one's better.
edition, the
The Mel Gibson
theatrical
one's better.
No, the Branagh one's great. I really
love
I saw the
them both,
Branagh one theatrically, and they even had an intermission in the middle, and it was me and mainly 70-year-old dudes. But they were a good crowd. They stayed quiet. Most of them slept.
You watching this at a White Castle? Were you watching this at a White Castle?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. It was.
But-
It was like a 4D experience.
Yeah, but
Everything
look,
was coming at me.
That decision, I spoke about that with James, who's like the I don't know what James's official position is at Umbrella, but he's like just under the owners kind of thing, and we're like, yeah, look, okay, that's what we'll do. And then when Jeff found out, he was like, this is ridiculous. Like, people have been demanding this film for me for years. We should have given it the special treatment, and James was very quick to throw me under the bus and say, I'll bench it if no one was going to give a shit. And then luckily the pre-orders
Reflected that. Yeah.
proved my decision.
Yeah. You got better chances of the Man Without a Face selling more units than Hamlet.
Or Tim. At least Timmy's
Oh man, what's him? They'd be the
banging
man
them back.
because we actually need a proper scan of that movie. The only ones that have ever been out are usually those budget releases that are taken from a broadcast master, not from the original film elements and that. But yes, moving on, gentlemen. Studio Canal this week, they're releasing 3 titles. That's 5 fingers. 3. They're releasing.
Remastered?
Yes, all of them. The first is The Conversation, which is coming out in 2-disc 4K. Actually, no, it's a single disc 4K, but the 4K has all the special feature content. So no need to buy that $160 import version with the cassette. Just buy this version and get the film and all the fluff in terms of special features, not the trinkets.
With a weird cover art.
Yeah, but that's the Studio Classics remaster. They're doing some strange things. I wasn't a massive fan. I've got the previous Studio Canal UK release, which has the great art, which is admittedly sealed, so I probably shouldn't buy the 4K, but let's face it, we know I will. And also from Studio Canal is One from the Heart, the Coppola film. And good news is that Studio Canal are doing a 2-disc release of this locally, 2 4Ks in the 4K and 2 Blu-ray in the Blu-ray. So you will get the original 1982 theatrical cut plus the recent 2023 encore edition of the film as well, plus all the special features. I stupidly bought that one on import from the UK because I didn't think there was going to be a chance it would get a local release, and of course it did. At least mine has a pretty slip on it. Yeah, I don't really give a shit about that, to be honest. Not with this particular film. The last one from Studio Canal, Soldier Blue, we only spoke about that one recently. It's coming out on 4K Blu-ray and DVD.
Have I ever told you about the pissing story?
From alternate worlds. Then the last distributor, our second last distributor, because there is a token distributor I will mention at the end, but second last distributor, Sony, releasing Tarot on Blu-ray and DVD. Glenn and I got to see this one in a private session. It was just Glenn and I think it was on the opening day of Monster Fest weekender, because I think I went and watched that and went straight to Nova. And I enjoyed it for what it was. It's, it's pretty much like a Final Destination film.
Yeah. And the directors that are on the show next week.
Oh, well, there you go. So I won't say anything rude then. But in terms of...
I'll only listen to next week's episode, though.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
You can say whatever you want this time.
Not so much the special features, just the disappointment that there wasn't an alternate cut of the film. I kind of felt like maybe if the film had done box office, they may have done like a, R-rated edition or whatever they were calling it in the States. Yeah, because it felt like there was more that you just didn't see that was shot. Anyway, I enjoyed it for what it was, and I'll definitely add it to the collection at some point. Then the last distributor, I will mention, that's releasing titles this week, and Glenn will be delighted to hear. It's Eagle Entertainment, and they're all only DVD, but one of them's got his mate in it, Hellhound.
Mate. And we've got Lewis coming on the show in a few weeks to talk about that. And
Excellent. My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3 as well.
It is I brought that up in the interview. Yeah. Anyway, but it's a really good movie. Like I gave Ben a copy. It's better than the last couple of John Wick sequels.
Oh wow, okay, that sounds cool. Yeah, because I did. Yeah, I remember you saying something about it around the time you were actually doing the interview with Costa. Now I will mention other titles that are coming out.
No, Lewis. He's doing Lewis, not Costa.
Oh yeah, I get him confused. Costa's the picket fences Saw one. Yeah.
Yeah.
Costas
that's the great
Mandalore.
divide.
Yeah.
That's the divide that's going to break Good Movie Monday apart. Because I'm Team Costa and Glenn is Team Lewis.
I'm kind of with you on Costa, and maybe it's picket fences that got me across the line because I love that series. And that's when Ben says to me, "No, that wasn't Costa. That was Julie Andrews."
that was Lewis. Yeah. Well, Lewis was on. Lewis was on the cop TV show with Sammo Hung. Do you remember that? Do you remember they did that? He had that TV show. It had a crossover with Early Edition and everything.
No. In the Heat of the Red Sun.
No, I
just made that up.
Hang on, what was
he's looking that up? Boy, he's looking that up. I'll mention the other two releases that are coming out from Eagle are Snow White and the Seven Samurais.
Directed by Michael Su, who was Albert Pugh's DOP.
Wow, cool.
Yeah,
awesome. I didn't realize that. Oh, cool. Actually, there's two. There's the Butcher's 2, or Butcher's Book 2.
Yep.
Adrian
Langley, the director of that, is on the show in a few weeks' time.
Oh, well, there you go. Because Butcher's came out like a long time ago. Was that the one that was kind of like an unofficial Texas Chainsaw Massacre sequel?
Kind of. And this one, this is the actual chat. I've already recorded it. Is really interesting. He's making this as an anthology franchise. So every installment is a new hillbilly family.
Oh, cool. I like that.
And this one, number 2, is much better than number 1. It's really fucking creative with the kills. And
that's cool. Well, doing that kind of anthology across films means he could do a universe and potentially bring them all into one.
He's calling it he's calling it Killbilly, the genre.
Yeah.
See, I was a bit upset when I heard that because I was hoping that was going to be an anthology series of killer butchers, and there's just like beekeepers, but they're like the League of Butchers.
But then I would have been upset that you hadn't got the call to reprise your role as Butcher Ben for it.
As Butcher Ben, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And every installment has a cameo from Sam Neill doing "We Like the Boogie."
Yes. I'm sure Sherry Moon Zombie somewhere out there, like actually screaming that she's not a part of this Killbilly universe at this point in time. But it's not too late.
We do like joke a little bit about some of the stuff that Eagle put out, but Hellhound and Butchers, they're really good.
What about Walden?
Haven't watched it yet. I have a copy.
Yeah, Emil Hirsch. Yeah, it does look interesting. I mean, they put out some great stuff.
I would argue that it's not that they put out inferior product; it's that they don't have the faith in their own releases and they don't put them out on Blu-ray.
Yeah, it's true. Yep. It's true. It's a shame. But anyway, gentlemen, that's all the releases. But I'm not going because I do have a quick focus
before you jump in.
Oh yes.
Martial Law.
Oh, I remember Martial Law. Yes,
yeah, I do remember
not to be confused with the Cynthia Rothrock film.
Yeah, no, yeah.
I think they made 2 or 3 of those.
But it's Kelly who the 2 cops are Kelly who and Louis Mandalore, and then Sammo Hung comes over from Hong Kong, a la Jackie Chan in Rush Hour to solve crimes, and then sticks around for an entire 2 seasons.
Terrific. I do remember it. I never watched it, but I do remember it fondly, like seeing the ads for it and that. And I think it might have stalked late night TV at a point in time.
Certainly did.
Here's the focus film, gentlemen. Off Balance. This one's directed by Ruggero Deodato, and it's from the very late 80s, I think about 88, 89. It was a film that I had avoided on VHS because it was released through like Delta or City Lights or someone like that, because I didn't find the artwork all that appealing. That was like the artwork that was on the video cover.
Yeah, that's awful.
It's really bad. But basically, it is kind of like a post-Charlo film. Michael York plays lead in it, Basil Exposition. And
I was going to say, he's doing his best David Carradine in it. In that Inside Art, he just looks exactly like old David Carradine.
Totally does.
Like Big Stan David Carradine.
Well, he's got like an aging sort of disease, similar to the one Ralph Macchio had in that Geriatric Kid movie that came out for TV back in the 80s.
Before Benjamin Button stole its thunder.
Yeah, but that was the reverse aging, wasn't it? Where he was an
Yeah, it
old
starts
man
off
that
old and he just gets
comes,
younger. Yeah,
yeah. And this
yeah.
this is it's look, it's a Kuro piece. It's not so much a recommendation as a Kuro look if you haven't seen it. I was glad that I probably waited and watched it when I did because as he's when I say gradually, it's all probably in the span of like a few months. He's rapidly aging, but as he rapidly ages, he becomes more and more mad and basically is out there killing with no real rhyme or reason. And Donald Pleasance is playing a very much like a Loomis kind of character. So it's a bit of cat and mouse between the two. Look, it's fun. It's Ruggero Deodato, and I believe it's his least favorite film, which is shocking because the guy's directed a lot of shitty movies, and this isn't, in my mind, one of them. I think he said because it was his least personal film, and I was thinking, well, Cannibal Holocaust and Body Count were personal movies,
Yeah, but
maybe.
that's the same as
You know.
Oliver Stone disregarding talk radio.
Yeah, and what a masterpiece.
Yeah, exactly.
Though he wasn't too
Pornography and
shy
plastic.
to do a cameo in it. He does a Hitchcock like cameo in the movie, and it's a fun movie to watch. And it was like I watched it and I was like, well, look, it's not a classic, but it's a keeper. I can see myself easily revisiting this within the next 3 years over a film that I actually loved because I'm like, oh, that was a really good film. I really enjoyed that. I've got to keep that and revisit that eventually. But I want to recapture that feeling of greatness. So it's probably going to take 5 to 10 years. Whereas this, I was like, this was pretty much a shitty movie that I enjoyed, and I know I'll come back to in 3 years' time because it's kind of like a comfort movie.
Yeah.
But anyway, Off Balance, my focus feature film for the week. It's out through Cauldron Films, US release, and I'm pretty sure, no, it says that it's locked for Region A, and this one is actually because I had to switch the play to Region A. So if you don't have a region free play, you're doomed. But just go out to Kmart or wherever and buy one of those laser players for like $80 and be done with it and stop complaining about region coding. Anyway, gentlemen, that's it for me this week. So until next time, stay physical.
Physical. And we're back. Of course, it is MIF time again in Melbourne, and once more in the lead up to what is Melbourne's biggest festival, I guess. We're joined by one of the festival's lead head programmers, Kate Fitzpatrick, to talk about films showing at the festival this year. I think this time, why don't we just go with your top picks? Like, what do you think that people need to check out at MIF this year?
Yep. Well, these are definitely not a definitive list. This would be really hard. I'd be a bit like you, where I'd be choosing all of the films in the festival. But these are some of my absolute faves. The first couple are from our competition section, Bright Horizons. One is called Flow, which I really love this film. The director, Gintz Zilbalotis, he made a bit of a splash a few years ago with his first film called Away, and it was a bit of a festival darling. He did everything. Like, he did the animation, he did the story, directed it, he edited it, produced it, everything. This film is his follow-up film because Bright Horizons is for first and second time feature films, and this is a more collaborative effort, but it's really the kind, like, it's kind of made for me. It's a story of a cat. It's an animated film again as well, but this cat is trying to survive what seemingly is like an end of the world flood, and through the course of survival, meets a whole host of other animals, and they all have to kind of like work together to help each other survive. There's like a lemur and a dog. There's a few dogs, actually. This really magnificent bird who behaves very unbird-like in helping the cat. It's really well done. The animation is really quite beautiful, and it's totally wordless. Like, there's no narration.
Oh, no dialogue.
There's no dialogue whatsoever. There's no narration at all. There's nothing to kind of really tell you what's going on other than these really fantastically well thought out and well animated animals. There's no humans in it at all. Another great thing.
There's
chickens
nothing,
garbage. So.
nothing spoils a good film about animals more than humans.
Exactly. You know things are not going to go well for the animal when the
I
humans
did,
are around.
I did see this in the program. It's a very different style of animation too. I don't know exactly, or his illustration technique is a bit unusual.
Yes, it is. It is very unusual. And I think at first I was a little. It took me a while to kind of sit with it, but really at times throughout the film, I think it's actually really beautiful. It works to really great effect. Yeah, look, it's great. If you like animals, which I do, and animation, which I also do, I don't it's really I think it's a really mean feat to make something so emotional with no dialogue and just a bunch of digitally created animals. The other film, I mean, all of our Bright Horizons. In fact, I've got three Bright Horizons films. Let's be real. Yes, I do. I have three Bright Horizons films that I want to highlight because I really think they're just fantastic. They're also ones that you will not see if you don't see them at MIF. The other one's called Good One. It's by India Donaldson. It's her feature debut. It's so good. The main actress in it, this is her first role. Lily Colliers is her name, and she gives the most incredible performance. The entire film is really kind of told from her perspective. She is going on a camping trip. It's a planned camping trip with her dad, his best friend, and his best friend's son. They're all supposed to be going on the camping trip together. But when they go to pick up the friend, his son has decided he's not coming anymore. And so she finds herself on a camping trip alone with her dad and her dad's best friend. So she kind of has to navigate this. They've got this kind of like typical blokey,
So this sounds like a lot of movies I've seen, but just not at the cinema. Usually that you go and you get to see 5-minute clips of on certain sites on the internet.
Don't cheapen this, Ben.
Sorry. I apologize.
No, it's really fantastic, and it's filmed in like upstate New York, so it's very beautiful, but it's such a fantastic, simple story that's just told very beautifully. It's told really well, and and the guy's name is totally leaving my mind now. It's really well known. He was in Drugstore Cowboy, James.
Oh, James LaGrosse.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you so
James
much.
LaGrosse.
He plays her dad. He's great. He's really fantastic. He's great in Blackout too. That's another film in Night Shift. Yeah, I highly recommend Good One. I think it's really fantastic. I think everybody should see it. And the other film from Bright Horizons is on Becoming a Guinea Fowl. This is a second feature by Rengano Nyoni. Really great film. And it's set in Zambia. It's got one of the best opening scenes of a film that I saw in Cannes this year, I reckon. Like really kind of one of these films that grabs you from the outset. It kind of goes on, it's like almost like a collective community secret in a way that that is being dealt with throughout the whole film. And it kind of gets into a bit of magic realism as well. It's really beautiful, and it's not something that you'll be able to see outside of MIF because it doesn't have any local representation
Yet.
Yet. Hopefully somebody important comes to see it and buys it.
And picks it up, yeah.
Another film that I really like is a film I saw in Berlin earlier this year called Crossing. It's by Lieven Aiken, who did And Then We Danced from a few years ago, Georgian film. This is a really great film about this woman who's going on a mission to find, she's kind of made a promise to her dying sister that she's going to go and find her niece who's kind of run away because she's not been accepted by her family. She's a trans woman. And so this aunt sets out to find her and put things right again. And she meets this young kid along the way who like kind of makes out that he knows where to find her. He just really wants to get out as well. get out of this kind of shitty town that he lives in. He wants to, travel the world, I suppose. And it's just a really great story about this woman reconnecting with her family, but also kind of finding herself, have this great relationship. They form this really interesting bond, her and the young kid.
So it's a road movie?
It's kind of, yeah, it's kind of a road movie and a family drama, really. And they meet this trans lawyer when they arrive in the town where she supposedly is, who goes in to help them as well. And it was just something about it as well. Like it's really joyful. There's these great scenes at night. A lot of it happens in the streets as well. So there's this great sense of being in the street at night. There's lots of life in the street, people out eating, dancing. In fact, the image on our website is of the main woman dancing, and there's this beautiful scene where she does that. And it was just also one of these films that it happened a bit in Berlin this year where I thought, this is really nice. There's trans themes or queer themes in this film, but it's not like the focus of the film, or bad things don't happen.
Yeah.
Like it's just kind of, I don't know, it felt like we were entering a new era or something of, it just happens to be part of life now, and it's not.
Yeah, that's not that. Yeah.
Another film I really love is the documentary Made in England, which is about the films of Powell and Pressburger.
Oh,
and it's
I love Powell and Pressburger.
Yeah, it's great because it's presented by Martin Scorsese. So he doesn't direct it. The director is someone, David Hinton, I think is the director's name. But Marty's really your guide through this whole thing.
Right. That makes sense because he loves all of that. He loves all of those kind of old British.
Yeah, it's very much a personal reflection on his relationship with Powell and Pressburger. From being a young, tiny little asthmatic kid who couldn't go out and run around, so he sat in front of the TV and watched these movies over and over again on a tiny TV. But it's also he does this great analysis of his own work through the influence of them.
Yeah, right.
Which is really fascinating.
Yeah.
There's some
how do you equate Mean Streets with Canterbury Tales or I Know Where I'm Going?
Yeah, well, you gotta see. You gotta see it.
Yeah.
He does these great, like, shot for shot comparisons and really interesting analysis on different filming techniques, but also really great stuff about their lives, particularly Michael Powell, like how he kind of imploded or like ruined his own career by making Peeping Tom. And
because he did a lot of stuff by him. I don't know if Pressburger. I've never seen a Pressburger like solo effort, but I've seen quite a few Michael Powell.
Things
that he did, separately.
And it's just interesting how they're in each other's lives. So like married Thelma Schoonmaker, and so it's really great. And kind of as an adjunct to that, we're screening a Powell and Pressburger film in our restorations section.
Oh,
it's called The Small Back Room.
I have it. I have the DVD.
Right.
Still sealed.
Well, you should come and watch it at MIF.
Yeah, perfect. I can't though. Like I filled up my 12. My 12 is filled up by other films.
Well, watch that Criterion because it's really great. Like I think it's a lesser seen one, but it's really just as great as other films of his.
I really want to check out the doco too.
Yeah, it's great. It's really great, and it'll make you want to watch all of those films all over again.
I mean, well, I watch. I Know Where I'm Going, specifically the Kaylee scene. Like I watch that, like almost on a yearly basis.
I'm embarrassed to tell you, I've never seen it.
You've never seen it?
I've never seen it.
Have you seen Leap Year with Amy Adams and the guy who plays?
Yeah, no, I know the guy. Yeah.
Matthew Good, or whatever his name is. That's basically for some reason they remade it, but they set it in Ireland. They set the remake in Ireland, and I Know Where I'm Going is in Scotland, set in Scotland, but basically the same story, but they modern adaptation of it. Anyway, enough about that. What else?
Right. Well, yeah, no, all of their films are on my list.
Yeah.
Matt and Mara, I really love. This is by Kazik Radwanski, who did Anne at 13,000 Feet. It's really great. And the woman from that, Dara Campbell, she's in this with Matt Johnson. They are the Matt and Mara of the title. So it's a Canadian film. And Dara plays Mara. She's a woman living with her husband and child. And she's known Matt from like their old college buddies. But they've obviously haven't seen each other for a while. And he comes back into her life. I think he's in town. He's kind of like an up and coming novelist, writer with a lot of swagger and whatnot. And they've got this kind of great dynamic where they're good friends, but there's lots of kind of butting of heads with one another. But there's also a real frisson between them too. They've obviously there's an attraction there too. And it's just, it's great. It's just, their banter is really fantastic. I mean, I love Matt Johnson. I think he's really fantastic. I loved Blackberry last year. I love The Dirties from 10, 11 years ago now.
Jeez.
I really like Kazak's films too. Like I love Anne 13,000 Feet. It's really great. Don't know what else to say about that. I think they're all good mates, these people, and I think there's a special magic that happens when people who know each other that well come together and make a film. There's something very lived in about it. There's an ease to it that is difficult, I think, to recreate if you don't have that rapport already. It's really great.
Awesome.
Another film I really, really love, which is another film you won't get to see if you don't come and see it at MIF, is Michel Franco's new film, which doesn't feel that new now because it was at Venice last year, but it's called Memory. Peter Sarsgaard won Best Actor at Venice last year for it. It's him and Jessica Chastain. They meet at a high school reunion. And then they form a friendship. She's a carer and she becomes his carer. But they went to high school together. And it's this really interesting exploration of memory. Like Peter Sarsgaard's character's got early onset dementia, but there's something that's happened in the past that she's got this memory of as well. But it's just a really interesting look at memory, how memory can be unreliable, can be kind of things can be misremembered. It's really great. It's the two of them, and I'm not always into Jessica Chastain. Like I don't always love her, but I think she's really exceptional in this. I think he's really fantastic in it. Jessica Harper is in it as well.
Oh, wow.
She plays Jessica Chastain's mum.
Wow.
Merritt Weaver is in it as well, and I love Merritt Weaver. Yeah, it's really, really great. I would love for as many people to come and see it as possible because I think it's one of my favorite films of the festival.
Awesome. And just before we wrap up, do you want to talk about one of the films I'm most interested in seeing at the festival, Memory?
Well played, sir. Well played. Well, I do quickly, just before we wrap up, though, I do really want to mention the Godzilla marathon. I know you're not a marathon guy.
Well, I am. I just have a lovely sleep during them. And then people draw dicks on my face, which is always fun.
So great. Everyone has a great time then.
Yeah. This time it would be Godzilla dicks. I don't know if my face is big enough to handle that. But what films are playing? Which are we doing? Shin Godzilla? Are we doing?
Shin Godzilla is the last one. We're doing a chronological thing, so the big kicker, the opener, is the restoration of the 1954 original Godzilla film, which premiered at Berlin earlier this year. It's really great. Like, the restoration is fantastic. And we're doing 7 films to commemorate 70 years of Godzilla.
And will Mothra and be making an appearance?
Absolutely.
Fantastic.
So Destroy All Monsters is from the 60s. That's screening. Really love that one. Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla from the 70s, 1974, which is such a hoot. The Return of Godzilla from 1984. Godzilla versus Mothra from 1992. Godzilla, Mothra, King Ghidorah, Giant Monsters All Out Attack from the early 2000s is screening, and then Shin Godzilla is the final.
It's the final one. No Godzilla with Matthew Broderick and Maria Pitillo.
No, we did. There was a joking kind of. We're like, maybe we should just like throw it in there and watch people riot.
I think that's that film deserves reappraisal.
I agree. I have a soft spot for it.
Yeah, I think it's time to kind of forgive it its sins and then just enjoy it for what it is.
Exactly. It's really, don't make it something it's not really.
Yeah. Don't expect that. Well, that's it. Now the expectations are gone. No one expects it to be.
Everyone knows it's not up to scratch, so just go in with.
There you can just enjoy it. Yeah,
but it's going to be really fun. We've got an introduction from the guy at Toho who is called Dr. G. His entire job is Godzilla. He just looks after Godzilla. Kohei. He's really fantastic, and he's got little there's trivia clips that we're going to play in between each film on all the different films, and also sponsored by Asahi. So they're going to be
some beers.
Giving out some free Japanese
Get on the beers.
beers.
Get on the beers at the Godzilla Marathon. Fantastic.
Exactly. It's going to be fun. It'll be really fun.
That's fantastic.
And there are also films that are really not easy to see legally.
So that is MIF. I think that's starting next week, or maybe the end of this week, the 8th of August, all the way up to the 25th of August, all around Melbourne. So jump on the MIF website, mif.com.au. Thank you very much, Kate. Always a pleasure.
Yep, so much fun. Thanks, Ben.
I had to escape, the city was sticky and cruel. Maybe I should have called you first, but I was dying to get to you. I was dreaming while I drove the long straight road ahead. Yeah. Could taste your sweet kisses, your arms open wide. This fever for you was just burning me up inside. I drove all night to get to you. Is that alright? I drove all night, crept in your room, woke you from your sleep to make love to you. Is that alright? I drove all night. What in this world keeps us from falling apart? No matter where I go, I hear the beating of our one heart. I think about you when the night is cold and dark. Yeah. No one can move me the way that you do. Nothing erases this feeling between me and you. I drove all night to get to you. kisses, your arms open wide. This fever for you is just burning me up inside. I drove all night to get to you. Was that alright? I drove all night, wrapped in your room. Is that alright? I drove all night. I drove all night to get to you. Is that alright? I drove all night, crept in your room.
I think that's Roy Orbison's best song. It's my favorite on
Your favorite?
Yeah.
I'm really partial to the "There Won't Be Many Coming Home" that is in the Hateful Eight.
Yeah.
I quite like that song, and I also like the Penny Arcade one, even though that's like such a a really ridiculous song.
That was featured in Top Gun Maverick recently, but also
The Penny Arcade song.
Drove All Night.
That's a really weird. Could you imagine it? Like they're flying into danger, and the Penny Arcade song comes on. Step up and play. It'd be great.
I mean, Pretty Woman would be funny too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was actually the reason I put it in the show is because it's also from Paperback Hero, and Hugh Jackman's everywhere at the moment, so I thought I'd lean into a forgotten Aussie movie. I wouldn't say classic, but
It's a romance novel.
the truck driver that
Rubes.
writes
Rubes.
romance novels.
Yeah.
Anyway, look, it's time for our interview part of the show. Let's not fuck around, just jump straight into it. Abigail, we both loved it. We both, I think it's safe to say, would recommend it. So let's discuss it with the people that made it. These are nice, short, snappy interviews. They're 5 minutes each, and I've got 2 lots back to back. So definitely jump in. So we've got Matt and Tyler, who are the directors, and then we're going to jump into Kevin and Will, who are 2 of the actors, and it's just fantastic. And I've forgotten their surnames, so we'll just throw into it. How's it going, guys?
Hey Glenn, that's a dope hoodie.
Yeah, I only realized 20 minutes ago that I put that on, so how fortuitous is that? Another banger on your hands here, guys. You guys are killing it right now. Great stuff, Abigail. Loved it.
Thank you.
Appreciate that.
And if I can say, you guys went full Peter Jackson on your cast. You threw a brain dead amount of blood at them, and it's just the best. So thank you, as a horror fan. Thank you.
That is an incredibly high compliment.
Is that the most fun part of the job, like throwing blood and guts at your cast?
I mean, it's one of many.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's definitely up there.
The whole thing is,
Something that I would figure would be a bit of a conundrum for you is the fact that this story kind of has an obvious pivot point or twist, if you will. But it's kind of a twist that you have to give away in the trailer to sell the movie, in that, she's a vampire, and obviously on the poster there. Did you ever consider being shrewd and luring people into this with a false premise?
I mean, I think we would love it if people who don't know anything got to see it without seeing the trailer. But that said, we were pretty aware, even while we were making the movie, that was going to be given away. So kind of took it upon ourselves to make sure that everything leading up to that was still engaging, and that the movie's still aware that you're aware, that we're all aware that she's a vampire, and kind of has fun with that along the way. So you're not just bored waiting for it, but you're actually really engaged prior to it.
Yep, and it is fun, and it's very funny. I think the comedy and the humor is like precision. Is it difficult to get that right, to hit the right marks with the comedy?
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, I think that it's I think even for us with this one, I think we were surprised at how well it was working during the previews, and then seeing it with an audience. And I think some of that's just you're trapped in an editing room for so long, and you kind of forget how tuned the movie is until you see it with people who are seeing it for the first time. And that's a big part of the tuning, is making sure that those two genres, that the sort of comedy, the sort of grounded sense of humor, and the horror are always playing really well with each other, and that the movie is never too much of of either of those things, right? If you go too far into the comedy side, then it just feels silly and the stakes fall apart. And if you go too hard into the horror side, the movie can feel kind of cruel and mean, which makes the comedy not work. So it's really just a balancing act that is a part of the challenge of cutting something that is this mix of tones.
Yeah, I feel like you got it right. And also, I think something I've noticed in your films is you like to put fairly large ensembles in one setting, one location. Is that something that's very conscious?
Yeah, it is. We love it. It's, we've been doing it since, even our VHS segment, like over 10 years ago, was a bunch of idiots in a house. There's something about that pressure cooker, about that
very
confined
familiar
space. Very familiar idiots. It's like the same thing that's like attractive about like Westerns, where you can just set something in a very small location and let the characters do all of the work for us as an audience and not make it about something else. And we're just really drawn to it.
Yeah, awesome. I'd seen Alicia in I think Matilda and Wicked Little Letters. She's fantastic, but what a shock it was to see her in the trailer at first, and then to watch the movie. My God, she's incredible. Like, she really, really makes this movie. Can you talk about casting her? What did you see? A lot of girls. What was it in her that appealed?
Yeah, we saw a handful of people who were all really, really incredible. I think that we were surprised just at how many wonderful options there were. Alicia just had. There was just something so magic about her, and I think at the end of the day, what really sold us is while she is very much like this sort of innocent, seemingly vulnerable person, there's a maturity to Alicia in her character and in the way that she approached her work that was really, really just mind-blowing to us. It was a huge surprise, and I feel like she revealed a new skill every single day we were on set with her, and ultimately, it was the level of confidence that she had when she was the monster that I think was the biggest surprise to us, that she fully commits to those genre moments that, would be hard for any actor to pull off. And she's there, like, rolling in the blood like the best of them. And we can't say enough about how much fun it was working with her.
Awesome. I'd love to sit here and chat horror with you all day, but my time is up. Thank you so much. Love
talking.
the film.
Yeah.
I hope everyone else loves it too. It's a pleasure to be chatting to both of you. How you going?
Good. How you doing? How are you?
Doing good. This is a really super fun movie. Kevin, I've been like a fan of your work ever since Mystery Alaska. And I feel like Peter is almost like an extension of Tree Lane. Like, they're kind of very similar characters. How fun was it to play Peter? And I'm wondering what kind of directions you were given as to how he is portrayed.
That is so wild that you said that, because that was the last time that I had gotten to play a character in my natural accent, because I am French Canadian. Yeah. So it's cool that it felt kind of full circle coming back around to that accent, and it kind of liberated me to be able to just kind of find, lightness. It was it was a really, really top-notch fun experience, led by by Radio Silence. They just kind of invited us to just come and play and add to the mosaic. And I had the idea. I said, how if we make him French Canadian instead of, he was supposed to be from Louisiana. And I was game to do that accent, but I was like, it'd be kind of fun if you guys let me do it like this. And they were like, yeah, okay. it was just, and then there you go. And
they gave you that freedom.
So it kind of felt like putting on a really comfortable pair of shoes or sweater.
Oh, very cool, very cool. Loved you in it. And William, you look like you had an absolute ball as well. What about the script appealed to you?
Well, I think it was the heist and the mystery, and then it goes to horror. Then it's kind of like a comedy. So I'm like, what are we doing here? You know what I mean? And then the location. I wanted to go to Ireland, and I'm like, okay. And then meeting these guys, meeting the cast, meeting everybody, and it was such a family. And watching Matt and Tyler work, doing 35, 40 setups in a day, and how committed they were to excellence and greatness, I'm like, oh, we had something special. And then when I saw the film, I was like, oh yeah, this was everything and more than I expected.
It really is.
Yeah. Absolutely. They are, like, right now on the forefront of horror. Like, they're two of the best horror filmmakers of the moment. How would you describe their directing style, and how do you find working with two directors as opposed to one?
They're so cohesive, aren't they? Like they just have this energy between them that they always bring light and bright energy to the set. They encourage fun. You feel like, hey, we're living our dream. Come and live our dream with us and help us tell the story. And it feels like that every day.
Yeah.
And the fact that they can, like you said, like bridge the gap between all these genres and put them in one film, and it feels so focused.
Yeah.
And I mean, they deserve all of the acclaim that they're getting. And yeah, I speak for myself, but I'm sure will too. And I'm just glad that I got to be a part of the team. You know.
Yeah, they show like they throw a record amount of blood and guts and gore at you guys. Is that fun or is that just like horrible?
It's a little bit of both. It's fun, you know, because it's like this is what the audience wants, and you having fun in the moment. But I remember Catherine having a moment coming out of the pool of bodies, and I'm like, she's not having fun. But she's having fun, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then they're like, oh, it's great, you're doing amazing, it's awesome. And then she's like soaked, and then you turn around, then I'm soaked, and then he's getting stabbed, and it's like, these guys are incredible.
Yeah.
But to answer your question about the dynamic of working with the two directors, Tyler is really on the technical side. He knows where the camera's at. Not that Matt's not, but Matt deals one-on-one with the actors. So it has a good dynamic of who you're speaking to as an actor. Am I speaking to Tyler or am I speaking to Matt? You speak to both of them, but they both work together so well that when Matt comes over, I know Tyler's coming over, even if only Matt came over.
They make one super director.
Yes.
Together.
Yeah, there you go.
They walk the same. They have a lot of the same idiosyncratic behavior. They're on the same wavelength, and they just really fill each other out. So then you get these really rich, textured horror films. Yeah. It's just like
that is fascinating. My time is up, guys. Thank you so much. Love the film, and I hope everyone really latches onto it.
Oh, thanks, brother.
Thank you. Great interview too, mate.
Thank you.
Cheers.
Bud.
Thank you.
Welcome to Bonehead Weekly Fun Size. And this week we're taking out our anger issues on folks. Right, James?
I'll kill you and your whole family.
Sometimes
for that one person.
People sometimes just snap. And what's our topic, James?
We're talking about movies that have a scene or scenes where people snap, where a character just loses it and goes over the top, and it's a good time to watch. Probably not if you were in that real scene, but good time to watch.
I'll go first. And I had two right off the bat that I wanted to do, and I went ahead and picked this one because it's one of my favorite meltdown scenes of cinema history. It is Steve Martin coming back to the car rental and going off on Edie McClure and Planes, Trains, and Automobiles. He'll take a fucking Buick, a fucking Dodge Dart, a fucking Chevrolet, 4 fucking wheels and fucking gas with a fucking steering wheel. Everybody remember that? Did I do enough quotes from it? Should I stop now?
No, I think you're good. I mean, I know what you're talking about. That's
Chad, what does poor little Edie say to him when he doesn't have his car rental receipt?
Well, it looks like you're fucked.
I actually thought, I said before this, I was like, I could have went with Gene Wilder. I could have went with Chevy Chase. But I actually thought there's a scene that's in a movie that is not a comedy that always pops in my head when it's the character snapping. And what's funny is that it's coming. Throughout the entire film, it's coming. But it is so good when it finally happens. It's the closing of There Will Be Blood. Just his absolute meltdown. And he everything's gone. He's destroyed it all, and he's just destroying more and more and more. And then he finally kills somebody, and somebody walks in, and he just screams, "I'm finished." That is a masterclass in somebody snapping, and it's in a drama. And usually I would do a comedy, but it's the thing that finally I tried to avoid it, and it just kept coming back. And I'm like, no, it's got to be There Will Be Blood. I'm finished.
Chad.
So for mine, James came up with this topic. There are so many to choose from, and when there's so many to choose from, my mind goes blank. I can never come up with one because there's just so many great ones to choose from. But there's one that just kept coming at me with a lightning bolt. coming. Just kept striking me in the head.
Kept
And
coming in your
obscure,
head.
but it's an obscure one, and it is one that is so quick that you blink and you miss it. That I'm like, okay, this is the one I'm going to do, because it's that perfect in my mind. Tommy Lee Jones in Natural Born Killers. When he is giving the tour with Tom Sizemore of the prison, as he's leading him to meet Woody Harrelson's character, he's all happy and la-di-da-di-da, and there's all kinds of chaos going around him while he's leading him and telling him about the prison and so on and so forth. But he gets into the cafeteria, and there's one little skirmish that's getting ready to happen, and Tommy Lee Jones just loses it. And what does he do when he loses it? For some reason, this man who seemed like perfectly happy and content pulls out a pair of pliers and grabs the prisoner by the nose and yanks him up, and is screaming all kinds of expletives and yelling at him and just acting like a wild man, and then says, "Get him to my office." And then he's calm and perfectly back to the Southern gentleman that he was before the incident. It is so quick, but it just zapped me in my brain when we said do this. And it's just Tommy Lee Jones in pure Tommy Lee Jones awesomeness.
And this has been Bonehead Weekly Fun Size. No more wire hangers.
We're finished.
Movies where somebody snaps. I've always been fond of Tom Hanks in movies when he snaps.
He does go crazy in a really good way.
Yeah, like in The Burbs, he does a fantastic meltdown.
He does great.
Yeah, even like there's a brief moment in Sleepless in Seattle when he discovers that his son has like dobbed him in for a radio fucking contest or whatever, and he snaps at the sun. He's pointing to the map. Like, ah!
What about? Do you remember Nothing in Common?
Yeah.
I really love that film, but when he does his whole bit about how, I thought my parents I'd go away to college, then I'd go get a job. My parents would come and visit me and go, look how successful you are. We're so proud of you. And then they just go away and die. That's the dream. He had like.
There was a point in time where every movie he had a snap, like Turner and Hooch. Not the car. Not the car.
Not the car.
Chevy Chase in Christmas Vacation. Massive meltdown at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Oh, that's when he forces them to go to the...
when he realizes he's not getting his bonus.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, Boneheads. Go find the Bonehead Weekly podcast wherever you get podcasts. They were on our show a few weeks ago. They've done a couple of great interviews recently. They're on YouTube as well if you want to watch them, talk to people and whatnot. Hopefully we'll be on their show at some point in the future.
Yeah.
Well, I doubt they'll want us.
They keep talking about inviting us, and it just never happens.
What else have they got to say? That's the thing. Like they pick the bones, They know all about us. There's nothing more.
The mystery's gone.
Yeah, we'll just have to fucking, if we're on there, play games or shit. Like,
I'll have to put an ad in the paper and just see if they like pina coladas.
Let's recommend some movies, Ben.
Okay, but I kind of fucked up.
Really?
This week.
Why? You haven't got one?
Because I literally have not watched. I tried, but I did that thing where I just spent hours looking for something to watch and not watching something. And I was going to watch The Black Room after we were talking about it. I was talking about it with Kate, and it just didn't happen. But instead, what I did, because a couple of weeks ago it was Prime, there was Prime Day.
Yeah, I do.
And they had the Prime sales. And as part of the Prime sales, they were doing... You paid there was 99 cents a month for all these extra Prime channels.
Yeah.
And so I subscribed to BritBox.
Yeah.
And I finally got around to watching the British version of Life on Mars.
All right, yeah.
Do you remember that TV show?
That was the first one, wasn't it?
Yeah. And
then I have it on DVD somewhere here.
Then they remade it in America. And I'm pretty sure I watched the American one where they smoothed out. I'm full of Passiona gas. Sorry, Pasito gas. It's making it very difficult for me to talk. Have fun in the edit.
I'm leaving it in, mate.
And I can't remember. It's the guy from what's Steven Spielberg's dinosaur TV show?
Terra Nova.
Terra Nova. The guy from that. The lead from that is the lead from the American Life on Mars. But the British one, is a lot more rough and I could hear that. That's coming through the mic. I can hear it through my headphones.
That's the stomach rumble, people.
But it's such a great idea for a show.
Yeah.
Because he's the whole premise of Life on Mars, if you haven't heard of it, is he's a cop who has a car accident, and when he wakes up, he's like the original show. I think is set in like 98, something like that. I think.
I thought it was earlier.
Yeah, it's in the 90s,
Okay.
whatever it is. Yeah, because but when he wakes up, he's in the he's playing a different person, and he's in the 70s.
Yeah.
Where policing is completely different, and the whole kind of premise of the show is that in that first episode is he's hunting this kind of this serial, I guess he's a serial killer, but a serial killer who committed these crimes, disappeared for 30 years, and then has done it again, including taking his current girlfriend, who is a fellow cop. But the whole thing is like policing in the modern age. There's no room for hunches, or it's all got to be. It all has to be proof.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of pace and no threatening anyone, and everything has to be completely legal and stuff like that. And when he goes back to the 70s, it's non-stop beating up suspects, sexually harassing the female police officers. Like it is drinking, drinking on the job.
It's like the cop version of Outlander.
Totally, yeah, it fucking is, and it is just so great. Like all the 70s stuff is just fucking awesome. It's exactly what you really kind of
It's like you've gone back to Dirty Harry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. It's really a lot of fun. So definitely, it is on BritBox.
Well, there you go. That is your way of getting a bit of Terrific TV Tuesday in there, because as you may have picked up, there is no Terrific TV Tuesday for the this week, last week, and next week.
I sacrificed it for Miff Talk.
For Miff Talk. So I'm happy for you that you managed to get that in there. Maybe, I mean, I've already got something lined up for next week's recommendation, but maybe I'll try to squeeze some television in for you.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah, just for you, mate. Dad.
Because next week will be the last Miff Talk.
Yes, that's right. So my recommendation this week, as Ben knows, as a lot of you know, I love a good op shop. I love picking up cheap movies, and I picked up some really cheap movies. In fact, the lady said to me, "You're in here a lot. Just take them. Just have them." So I scored some beauties. But
do you reckon that will hold out for subsequent visits?
I've got to wait
or you just get busted for stealing.
Wait till she's there. She'll probably get busted. She's probably, I don't know what she's doing. I think she doesn't know how to work the ATM or the FPOS. That's probably what it is. Old lady.
Well, they were 50 cents each, and you had $1.50's worth, and she's like, "Oh,
well,
it's not worth their fees."
Yeah, no, I reckon that might have been what it was. Anyway, one of them, which I used to have on DVD, it went missing. Maybe I sold it, and
maybe you lent it to me.
Yeah, maybe, I don't know. Anyway, Lucky Numbers, the Nora Ephron movie from 2000. This is a movie that I remember watching at the time it got released on video. Loved it, and yet everybody else seemed to shit on it.
Is this the Lisa Kudrow one?
Yeah, John Travolta, Lisa Kudrow.
Yeah,
and
right.
it's also got Tim Roth, Bill Pullman, Ed O'Neill, Michael Rappaport. Michael Moore is in it, and he is actually fucking hilarious. He let me give you the gist of the story before I tell you what it's all about with him. But it's John Travolta plays the local weather guy in his small town, and he's full of ego. He loves being recognized. Like he's always on an ego trip. But he also happens to have a snow plow or snowmobile business on the side that they're having a heat wave, and so he's completely going under with that, and they foreclose on him, and he needs money real quick to get out of the shit. And he turns to a local crime guy, low-level crime guy, which is Tim Roth, and they try to hatch schemes on how to make money. And they decide, well, let's go with the lotto girl at the television station, and let's rig the lotto. And so that's what they do, and it's just one fumble and error after another. It's a calamity of mishaps, and it's very funny, also kind of dark. But where Michael Moore comes into it, we're talking Michael Moore, the documentary filmmaker, so it's unusual to see him in an acting role. He plays Lisa Kudrow's sort of second removed cousin, and they rope him into the scheme because they need somebody to check in the ticket.
Yeah, no way is Michael Moore related to Lisa Kudrow.
Well, this is where it gets funny. So he has a hard-on for her, right? He wants to fuck his cousin, right, Lisa Kudrow, and he's always talking about masturbation. Like he's the king of masturbating.
Is this movie set in Shelbyville?
It's like Harrisburg, I think.
Harrisburg.
Yeah. But there's this great scene when they actually pull off their scheme. Michael Moore decides he wants to get greedy and he wants a bigger cut, right? So Lisa Kudrow just absolutely flogs him. She starts laying into him, beating him up, and then he falls over and she's saddled on top of him, laying into him. He just looks at her and goes, "Go ahead and rape me. I know it's what you want." So good. I'm not a fan of Michael Moore, but he really, really sells it in this movie. It is just great. John Travolta, I think it's one of the best sort of underrated things he's done. He plays the cocky ego really well.
Yeah.
Lisa Kudrow is fantastic. Ed O'Neill, like he was what had he done at this time? He just finished, I think, Married with Children.
Right.
So this was sort of the first sort of thing before Modern Family came along. And
so it's post Dutch.
It is post Dutch.
Or Driving Me Crazy or whatever it was called.
Absolutely. So if you've never seen it, give it a look. Nora Ephron is obviously the woman that made Sleepless in Seattle. You've got Mal. She's a rom-com kind of queen. This is not a rom-com. She didn't actually write this one, just directed it. And I think she fucking nails it. I think she hits the brief brilliantly. It's very dark. The comedy is pinpoint precision. And yeah, I don't know why everybody disliked this one.
Yeah, I remember when it came out, and in my head it was around the same time as Death to Smoochie, and
yes, it was
like a couple of ones. And I really rate Death to Smoochie,
so
and I'm due for a rewatch of that. But for some reason, this one, I mean, it came out while I was working at the video store.
Yeah,
and for some reason, I didn't want to watch it in the shop because it would ruin it. But then I never borrowed it or watched it my own time either.
And sometimes, like, all it takes is a kind of appealing cover art to really sell me. And I liked it. I was drawn to the poster for this one, which is kind of simple in and of itself, but I don't know what it was. It had a similar cover to, like, Ready to Rumble, like, where it's just the actors, but they're in a sort of position that's appealing. I don't know what it is. The composition works.
I just want to do a marathon of all those wrestling movies. Ready to Rumble, Grunt.
Yeah,
Body Slam.
I want to do a marathon of just
Bad
these
Guys.
sort of forgotten gems that practically went straight to video or had a very short run theatrically. You know?
Yeah, Lucky Number 7 was one of them.
Dude, like Josh,
or it's got a different name.
Josh Hartnett. Last night I watched one of his breaking down his career and talks about that one.
Did they talk about Blow Dry? Do you remember Blow Dry?
No, but they talk about what's the one he did the rom-com that he regrets big time, 40 Days and Nights or something.
40 Days, that movie's great.
Yeah, and he's not a fan.
No, that was the movie that introduced the word to Shannon Sossaman.
Like, to be honest, he sounds a little bit pretentious when he talks to. He's all about the art and Fellini and stuff like that. It's like, you're Josh Hartnett, for fuck's sake.
I mean, he's got great stuff to say about City Homicide or whatever it was. With Harry. He was like, there was no like Harrison Ford directed that movie. Like the director just couldn't say no to him.
That's right. I just love, like, when you've got an actor like Josh Hartnett that says how much he loves the craft and he loves Fellini and all these type of directors. Make those type of movies then.
Yeah.
Like, you're making shit in comparison to what those filmmakers do.
Because he was like always, he's like Ethan Hawke, except Ethan Hawke actually put his money where his mouth was.
Yeah.
And did those films.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
Whereas Josh Hartnett never did.
I think he tried it with I think that probably,
Fucking, yeah. But that's Shakespeare. Like, go fuck yourself.
That's right.
I don't care if it's set in the high school and it's got Julia Stiles in it.
Yeah, that's right. Anyway, so Lucky Numbers, like, I highly recommend a revisit. It deserves a reevaluation if you didn't like it the first time. So I don't know where you'd find it. I got it from an op shop. Good luck.
the other thing going against it too, I have to admit, was that Lisa Kudrow was kind of in the midst of that Friends success.
Yes,
and that put me off her in a lot of.
Yeah, she kind of plays against that type in this though, which is good. She plays a real conniving bitch that will practically murder people to get her way.
Yeah,
and I think that is quite appealing. Her and Ed O'Neill had a fling on the side, like, as characters. They have like a that's right. No,
wow,
their characters
Dropping
have a
the
little
goss.
thing on the side, and when you get those little moments, they're fantastic. The
Yeah,
chemistry is great. Anyway, so there we go. Lucky Numbers. And
check
what was
that one
yours?
out.
Life on Mars. Recommendations, people. That brings us to the end of a show. In our world, that's a fast show.
It's a quick show.
When you got that many long pre-records,
It's
that's great.
That's because we didn't do the banter at the start.
Oh,
I mean, we
that's-
did. But like, I was expecting a lot more.
Well, I've always got to throw you under it some way.
Yeah.
Even though I prepped you for it.
What I love is that if you're watching the video of this show, like we're both sitting here with laptops. Glenn's laptop is working and has like a complete rundown of the show. My laptop is just a blank screen with my phone in front of it.
It's a dummy.
It's like a prop. It's a prop laptop that's just hiding my prodigious gut from the video. It was like, I have no idea what's happening. He's like, it's the same thing every week. Still don't know. It's always a surprise.
Remind me what that is.
Yeah. What's the show called? Who am I?
Anyway, look, you and I, we've got some fishing to do, Dad.
Yeah, we do.
I can't wait. Going to catch me a beauty. Thanks for listening, everybody. It's always fun. Don't forget those socials. Hit us up there and drop us a comment.
Or go to our website. I didn't mention it. We go to goodmoviemonday.com.
Absolutely.
All our socials are there. All old episodes of the show. Outtakes of me hitting the microphone. You hitting the microphone. Yeah, that secret section of the website that I've completely forgotten what it's about, but it's there.
Yeah, that's
you got to find it.
When you find it, believe me, wow. We're going to leave with a song from Young Einstein. And this one is music.
By Mental as Anything?
Music Goes Around My Head by the Saints.
Okay.
Yeah,
we
came in with Great Southern Land, so may as well go out with this. Until next week, everyone. See ya.
Stay physical.
I try to find the secrets of the brain. 20 years I've labored trying to find who my creator was, but now at last the pieces fall in place. It's funny and it shows upon my face. And the music goes round my head, and I can't hear a thing you said. And my life echoes through my brain. It's so comical, I'm insane. Now the people hail me as being the genius beyond compare. They're clamoring to hear what I will say. It's funny and they carry me away. And the music goes round my head, and I can't hear a thing you said. And my life echoes through my brain. It's so comical, I'm insane. All right. All my life I've searched upon the reasons for us being here, the universe and all that it contains. I've tried to solve the secrets of the brain. And now the music goes round my head, and I can't hear a thing you say. And my life echoes through my brain. It's so comical, I'm